I've gone through one of the worst seasons of my whole life over the last 3 years. Worse than ever. Okay. So when you're charismatic, and when you've got the ability to speak, and when you've got the ability to communicate well, and when you've got the ability to make money, all right, naturally people are drawn towards you.
Yeah.
Okay. But they don't
And you said you're good looking, so when you're good looking as well.
When you are good looking and you have a sunny disposition, the world is your oyster. No, I'm kidding. God has humbled me, let me tell you. And, yeah, so we took what success looks like and learned that that's not success. So what is success? Okay, so we started, we failed. And then I was taken advantage from a lot of my bosses, and I just worked hard all the time. And I remember I was telling my daughter this morning on the way to school, because she had this reading challenge at school. Okay, and she feels like other kids get the awards, and she feels like other kids get the high fives and the little I see you kind of awards at school, because they don't try hard. They need to get more attention. So somebody who's trying really hard doesn't get it, and somebody who's not trying hard gets it. And she just felt injustice. Injustice. Human beings know.
I see how she's feeling.
Yeah.
And you know why? What we've done is we reward the guy who comes last. But what that does is the guy who comes last knows he doesn't deserve it.
Yes.
And the guy who's first knows for a fact that the guy who comes last doesn't deserve it. So he doesn't feel that he's actually in the right path, because nobody's going to recognize his hard work. But yeah, you can continue that.
So it's like playing to the lowest common denominator. And what do you do when you play to the lowest common denominator? You don't challenge the guys at the bottom. Not that he's worthless, but you continue to keep him at a low value if you don't challenge him.
Yeah, because
sometimes people need to fail. Healthy. Sometimes people need to be disciplined. It's healthy. Good for the human soul. Bad times are good for the human soul. Okay. Anyway, but what do you do when you do that? You demotivate the producers. You demotivate the guy at the top. And that's why we got a lot of people leaving South Africa. And I said to my wife, we had to make a choice.
You almost left?
No, we had to make a choice.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And this is, and I'll speak to South Africans. I'm saying we've got a beautiful country, but it's beautiful because of us. Take all the black people out of South Africa. I promise you all the white people will be unhappy. Like you said, take all the white people out of South Africa. All the black people are going to be unhappy. Now what we're trying to do is we're trying to separate people again. What about all the people who love each other? What about all the...
Brother, what about you and me?
What about... Exactly. What about the little mixed children now? Because you hate mom, but dad's now... What? Like, what about the families now that have intermarried? Because we're saying we Rainbow Nation. Now we're trying to divide. What are you going to divide? Divide families. You think that a black husband is going to allow his white wife to be treated like that? Not a chance. It's his own flesh. He'll die for her. Okay, so now we are diverse. Like it or not, we are Rainbow Nation. But it's like a paint can that's now being shaken. You take the rainbow, now you shake it. That's all close there. Who's going to separate that? Unless you are the enemy. Careful of the voices that are trying to separate. They are the enemy.
True.
Because division is the enemy. God commands a blessing when there's unity.
Yeah.
And I believe in South Africa. Anyway, that's why we've chosen to stay. So in 2016 and 2017, I said to my wife,
you're going to be born in Europe, man. You're going to imagine. You're going to miss this accent.
So imagine we look at people leaving and we think, what are they leaving to? Okay, and I said to my wife in 2016, I said to make a choice. I'm a British citizen. I've got a British passport. Okay, I've got a fairly decent asset base. Okay, I'm educated, not with a university degree, but I'm educated. I'm experienced in business.
And I'm anywhere in the world.
We can do anything, especially with this attitude, with this South African mindset where we just don't say die. And we do more than 5 people will do in another country. We'll do it all. Don't worry, we'll do it all. Okay, imagine how successful South Africans could be everywhere else. Okay, but imagine if we stayed. And I said to my wife, what are we going to do? We're going to leave, okay, and then mourn South Africa, but then we can just decide we're not South African anymore, all right? Or we're going to stay and we're going to mourn not going. Because every time we hear of our friends and people leaving, should we do it? So I said, we make a decision. We stay and we become part of the solution.
Absolutely.
And that's what we said we're going to do. And that's why my blood is South African. Okay. I don't care about any other passport. I want my passport to the kingdom of heaven. Okay. The blood of Christ did that for me. You know the gospel.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the gospel. The gospel is, I didn't deserve heaven. I deserved hell. I couldn't pay the price because I'm a sinner. Jesus died for my sins and paid the price. Okay, that's the gospel. That's what I live by. It's not something I say. It's something who I am because I had a personal experience with the man, the God, Jesus Christ. I realized the depravity of my life and I realized where I was going. And that's what he rescued me from. Right, so I don't care about which country I'm in, actually. In fact, I laugh when people say they're
a kingdom citizen. We're not worried about.
That's the only passport I want is a kingdom passport. Now, witness, imagine I'm somewhere else, okay, trying to make a better life in a place where there's flesh as well. Because the problem is you and me, actually. The problem is human beings, not South African human beings or New Zealand or American or it's human beings. Wherever you are, you're going to have corruption. Wherever you are, you're going to have greed, self, whatever it is. So how do we become part of the solution? So that's where we are. So I'm saying to South Africans, choose where you are. Make a living, a beautiful living in the country, and make a decision that when you fail on the way to your dream.
But how do you rebuild after failing? Like when you had your first failure in your business, what were the steps you took moving forward from there?
Okay. So I'll give you my recent failure. Okay. And we lost everything. Lost everything. And what was happening is, so our business is, I'm really good at financial services, I build insurance products. So we look at building financial.
With an insurance company.
Insurance brokerage. So, but there's a lot that we do.
I told you that black people don't like echo.
I almost burst out laughing when I didn't want to say anything because I know we're recording, but I didn't want to say why you're putting on your jacket. So it says white people like aircons. So I love it.
When you go to any office in South Africa, you find all the white people switching on the aircon and all the black people with a jacket on, like myself right now. So now we're both comfortable. You can continue.
I love it. Thank you. So so we started a tech company, okay, when I built financial services, I fell into it, and I've had some really great insurance mentors. I'm really good at what I do because of the people who actually taught me. And they're such good, experienced, talented people in South Africa. And so when we reject authority, we actually rob ourselves. So when I decided to come under authority, I was mentored. And you know what mentorship is? It is the most difficult thing you'll do because you have to give up your own rights. You have to give up your own opinion and you have to listen to other people and submit to them. And that takes hard work. Okay. And they're not always right. So submitting to them when they're wrong, that's when you think they're wrong. That's called submission. Otherwise, it's just obedience. It's just agreement.